Hello, Star Wars players. Welcome to SWCCG Holotheatre. My name is Jerry, Queso Sauce 37. Thanks for joining me this evening. We have a pretty cool show for you. It's going to be mainly a about 30-minute interview with Greg Shaw, Bill Kafer, and Chris Gogolin. They are the guys who are in charge of running the MPC. They put together the brackets every year, make the arrangements for that whole tournament. And with that being just 1 month away, I wanted to kind of build some hype and get some insights from them on how they got the ball rolling on that and how they keep it going and all that good stuff. So, also was gonna check in real quick with the OCS standings. I have those, can pull those up here. We are nearly done with the March month for the OCS qualifier, and we have two players at 34 points. We got Chris Werfs and Ryan Saracen. So congrats to them so far. Strength of schedule looks decent. A couple players who could also finish at the same level or even higher would be Silver Glenn. He has 2 games available, and I think there's probably at least a couple other these guys down here who can make a push. Maybe Charlie. He's got only 8 games played, so there is still a few days left in March if you want to get those OCS games in and put yourself in the OCS top 16. And yeah. I haven't had much of a chance to play this month. Been mainly prepping for the MPC and seeing what I can come up with for that. So only got a few games in, but maybe I'll get in a few more at least to get my 8 games foil. So yeah, thanks again for joining me. I'm going to kick it over to our interview portion of the show and let you guys witness the greatness that is the interview that I recorded a couple days ago with those guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back to wrap things up in about half an hour when the video interview is over with. Alright, so I went ahead and hit the record button. I'll do sort of a silly, as if I just introduced myself to my own video thing here. Hey, so yeah, welcome to my video interview. I've got the MPC people here with me on Star Wars CCG Holotheatre. In order here, we got Chris Gogolin, Bill Kafer, and Gregory Shaw. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so what I wanted to do with this was kind of just talk to you guys about sort of the NPC, sort of get some hype going for the next one, which we have literally in like 1 month away from when we're recording this. So sort of just to start out, like, tell me how the MPC idea came to you guys, and sort of why you guys wanted to do like a bracket style event, and how you guys ended up being the ones to make it happen.
Yeah, so I guess I had to look this up, but this was about 2006. We had just finished Worlds. It was held in, I forget the town name, but somewhere outside of Chicago that year. That was the year they cut to 12 and did a Swiss style day 3. Okay. Which I guess hadn't been done in a while. So me and Greg were driving back from Chicago, driving to Jersey on I want to say 10, 12, 14-hour drive. We were talking about how we missed match play. Is that's correct?
Yep.
And me being the 500 player I am, how I hadn't gotten to play in a cut and play some match play.
Definitely.
So that's where the idea started, is I wanted to play some match play. So
right.
Very selfish of me.
And just like, there was always some appeal about having this big scale bracket with all the excitement that comes with, like, right now we're in that March Madness atmosphere.
Right. Sweet 16.
All that excitement that happens with people following along, even the people who aren't in the tournament, they can kind of see who's going to play who. They know all these exciting matchups that are going to happen. You can kind of forecast what a 1-4 matchup is going to look like. Right. People get excited about it. So I think there was a lot of we just saw the potential in this idea of having all the big names come together and play in this big bracket style tournament.
Right on. So it was when was the first MPC held?
So I have that pulled up. It looks like it was early 2007.
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds right.
It
In
was
the
cold,
basement of
whatever
some
that
card shop.
All right,
wasn't even
and
a card shop, right? It was the Garden of Earthly Delight, whatever the hell that was.
That is
Yep.
absolutely correct.
that sounds really fancy. The Garden of Earthly Delight. And so where was that? Was it New Jersey, New York?
Yeah, I think we saw Robert Kraft there actually.
Very nice.
It was like a suburb of Philadelphia, I think. And
Okay,
it was like
so
it was
Philly.
weird because they had like gaming stuff, but then he also had like bonsai trees and that kind of shit there, and you're just like, I don't know what the hell this place is, but
Got to make money
all
somehow.
right.
Okay, and Bill, you said you had pulled up. Was it full 64 person that year? Was it a 32? How did it end up filling up?
So we ended up with, I think it was 30 that year.
30 sounds right.
30 sounds right. I
Okay.
think, the first top two people had a bye. I think it was Reed and somebody else.
It was Reed and Nate Meeker, actually.
Meeker, yeah. Meeker was world champ that year, right? So
Okay, so they were they were two of the 4 1 seeds there, or I guess you probably just had 2 1 seeds with 2 sides of a bracket for that one.
Yeah, that seems right.
Okay, cool. And then when did it expand to 64? Was it by 2008?
So
Yeah, I think
2000,
it was the next year in Bluebell.
we had
to
40 something that
expand
year.
it.
It was like 48 maybe.
48 that.
Yeah,
48?
we didn't hit 64, but we were way over 32.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of grew from, because I think my first one was either 09 or 010, and that one definitely filled up.
Yeah. 2009 was a 64 person bracket, and I'm pretty sure that was full or like one spot short. They would have actually even had a waiting list, I think, at one point in 9 or 10.
There was a couple years there I remember where there was some alternates and stuff, which is always a good thing to have in case, because there has been some issues with people flying in and what have you. And then what year was the one where we did the pod championship? Was that 2012?
That was 12.
12. Okay. And that year, for anybody who is sort of, learning about the NPC history right now, there was one year back in 2012 where the interest was so high that you guys expanded the field, and maybe just sort of explain how that worked.
Well, I think we knew we were going to need to expand. There was just a constant interest, like Chris said. There were wait lists a couple of years before that. So I just remember looking at ways to expand it, and going from 64 to 128 just wasn't feasible to do in a weekend. We would have had to drag it out over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, something like that.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, yeah.
And just it wasn't feasible. I think everybody was a little bit younger in those days, and people couldn't get all those days off in a row. So we were trying to figure out logistically how we could, just support more than 64. And other than adding an additional round, which is really
it's like 3
prohibitive
hours in the NPC.
Yeah. And not to mention all the extra space and everything to get everybody spread out on those tables, because the match play, I feel like you want to have a little more space in between games, people scouting and stuff like that.
Definitely. I mean, I know
So,
when you guys
came
order
up
the
with this.
tables, you definitely make sure to not put people who could potentially play each other right next to. I know
Right.
you guys make sure to do that, but
Yeah. Kim always does a really good job of that. Shout out to Kim Caden.
definitely.
But one of the things, I think that was kind of like World Cup pool inspired to have this, the format that we ended up with. And we kicked a couple things around, but that was ultimately what we decided would be the best way to get this huge number of people together to play in some kind of a match play style tournament.
And then so it was pods of 10 people, or was it 8 people? I can't remember the number.
I want to say it was 10, but I honestly don't
Yeah.
even remember.
There were 8
Oh, I have to
pods of
refer to
10
it.
players each
Yeah.
for the full 80 people we had playing. And
That's
then
right.
the top 2 from each pod advanced to a Sweet 16 style bracket,
Yeah.
where all the 1s played the 2s of the opposite bracket.
Yeah, very, very soccer World Cup style for sure out of that. So, cool.
Yeah.
So that's, and then leading up after that one, the interest was sort of maybe similar to the recent years where it was 64. I don't think we ever did another expanded field after
No.
that one, right? Okay.
No, I think the pods were cool to like mix it up one year and have one real big event like that, but
also
Yeah,
it kind of
really-
made it like what you were saying, kind of went against sort of the match play,
Right.
sort of feel of it, since it was sort
Yeah.
of, you were in a pod when you played Swiss with those people. You didn't play match with those people until you got
I
to
think we definitely missed the appeal of one big bracket, and so after that it was just
give the people
even if
what
there
they
is
want.
going to be that excess demand, we got to do the brackets.
Well, and
The only good thing about the pod year was we put all the people named Chris all in the same pod. So there were 7 Chris's, and they were 7 of the 10 players.
I don't know if
pod.
I remember that. That's pretty fantastic.
We're all Chris's.
That's pretty good. All right. So yeah, that's kind of some history moments there. Wanted to kind of get that. Now can we kind of go into how the ranking selection process works? How do you guys kind of get together in a group? How does it all work out? And how do you guys hammer out a list and a bracket that you can all agree on?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start off and then I'll hand it over to Chris, but usually it's like 3 or 4 of us just sitting down in the war room, and we bring some data with us of results from past events. Usually we pull up a couple of the most recent brackets for how we had people seated and see how things might have shifted historically over the last 2 or 3 years based on results. But yeah, we just iron it out. We try to come up with a 1 to 64, but it doesn't always play out like that, because the other thing that we bring with us is all the different teams.
Right.
I think Chris gets about 30 or 40 PMs now of people on different teams, and a lot of times
it's about that time of year, isn't it, Chris?
So we have to parse all that out and then figure out how we can actually fit everybody in some way that makes sense, but also so that you're not playing your buddy in the first or second round.
Yeah. And now with GEMP, now there are even more teams and even more cross boundary lines, which, people who used to be very specific with just, okay, these guys are all Team Pittsburgh. Well, now half of these guys are playing with the guys in Seattle and playing with the guys in Europe, and now they're a new team, and they're Team whatever.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's all Team 5's fault. Like, we can skirt around it all as much as we want, but it's Team 5's fault.
Or they're Team 5 because they have 5 squared numbers, right? They're up to 25 now.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
I think it's Exponent 5. I think that's where they're at this point. So.
And then, so with sort of my discussion on the selection process, one thing that was a question we got from a user, it was when you guys have all played in the event, how does it work when you guys are sort of ranking yourselves, and like, how does that work?
Well, we immediately put ourselves as 1 seeds, and then we have to work backwards from there.
Yeah. No, I think we're usually pretty honest about where we all land. We've got, like I said, usually there's 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 people all in the same room, and so we can bounce ideas off of each other about where we should really fall. The other thing that we've done over the last couple of years is tried to crowdsource as much as we can, having other people submit their rankings to us.
Okay.
So that can kind of either validate an opinion that we've had or lead us in a direction, and I think that's been very helpful. It's even just within ourselves. If it's like, if in a given year, if it's me, Chris, and Scott sitting there trying to come up with the rankings, that's a very Northeast specific viewpoint. So it's good to have other people provide us with their feedback, especially now that I can speak for myself. I'm probably speaking for everybody else too, but I don't get to play nearly as often as I would like. Back in the day, 8-10 years ago, when we were going to all different tournaments all the time, I know I was more comfortable judging everybody else's level of play. Now it's different, and it's tricky because the differences separating everybody are so much smaller now.
I agree.
People who still play, everybody has a solid understanding of how to play the game. It's really hard to come across an easy win. And you just have a lot of people, there's usually like a top tier and then everybody else, because everybody just kind of gets jumbled up in this mess.
Right.
So
like, unless you're truly like a new returning player, if you've been back in the game for like a year or two, most people have a pretty general idea. Like, yeah, this guy's a pretty good player. He could go 4-4, he can go 5-3, something like that. But, not everyone can go 7-0 or 7-1, 8-0. And stuff like that.
Yeah. And
there's a top 10. There's like a bottom 5, and then there's, in the middle there, it's 20 and 20. It's the guys who have made cuts somewhere along the way, and the guys who have been close to making a cut and haven't quite yet. And the guys who go 5-3 and the guys who go 4-4.
Yep.
That's usually the pile that a lot of people end up in, and then it comes down to, all right, well, what guys are on what teams, and where can we start putting people around, and what did we do last year? Last year we gave them a 5 seed. How did they do with that? They won their first game and they lost to the 4, which is kind of expected, but that's kind of a coin toss match.
Right.
All right, maybe we'll keep them the same. Oh, they upset the 4. Okay, well, they played a little better. Maybe they're worth a 4 this year, as opposed to, little things like that are kind of the inches that separate some of these players.
Right.
And how people slide around a little bit.
So I'll do the call out now for this year. Everybody, whether you're going to the match play championship or not, feel free to shoot us some rankings of how you see, where people land as far as who's pre-registered so far.
Yeah, and actually,
that'll be helpful when we go through the process.
Yeah, since you're kind of discussing that, we can kind of talk about that now. We can take a look at the list. I think we have about 38, 37 that are confirmed pre-registered. As of this.
I just added 2, so we're up to 39.
Okay, who did you just add? Because I didn't copy paste them onto my little notepad here.
Your buddy Jan and his dad.
Oh, okay.
Just signed up.
The Westergaards.
The Westergaards.
Okay.
Nice.
So I don't think
Team Westergaard just signed up.
Team Westergaard. They might be 1 seeds in the gentleman's bracket, but I don't think I would put them in.
Jan is one of the hardest guys to rank year to year.
Right.
Well, I mean, as his beloved friend for the last 10 years and teammate and stuff, he doesn't play as much. When he was on his game, you guys know, I mean, he's top 8 at Worlds a couple of times. He's made a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's just not practicing. And I know if he just picks up some cards and does it for, good 6 months and gets back into it, he would be right back up where he could be just because he is that level. But it's hard because he just goes to these things to have fun, it seems like.
So I think we'll pencil him in for a 16, right, Chris?
What's that?
Pencil him in for a 16.
Yeah.
Jerry,
he might really get up for that because they need him playing, like a Joe Olsen or Tom Kelly round 1, and it might actually inspire him. So I'm actually all in favor of that. And so and actually it was kind of funny the other day. We were trying to schedule all this, and I knew that the registration deadline was coming up, so I got on the phone to Jan and said, "Hey, you guys better get registered." So looks like they took my advice. Okay, so with that in mind, the 4 people that I have picked of the current list that I would put in a possible 1 seed would be Tom Kelly, obviously. He's won the event at least 2 times. Joe Olsen, he's won the event. And then I had B-Fred. Sorry, go ahead.
Joe Olsen's the guy who put Kevin Shannon into retirement, allegedly, so...
Allegedly, yeah. I will neither confirm or disconfirm.
That's what Kevin keeps saying all the time. I keep asking him, "Kevin, you're going to come back this year, right?" He's like, "I'm still upset that I lost to Joe in that final, so no, I'm not coming this year."
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think I've actually ended up playing Joe Olsen very much, so I don't think I've lost to him yet. But so yeah, I got Tom Kelly, Joe Olsen, and then of the other people that I have on the list, it was kind of tough, but I put Chris Kelly and Brian Fred in those spots. Those ones are definitely, would be the first 2 to slide down. But Joe and Tom, I feel, are pretty solid from the list. What do you guys think about possible top seeds?
Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty good assessment. I would agree. I mean, in my opinion, there's those 2 guys. Tom Kelly and Joe Olsen are the clear 1A of who we have so far.
Yeah.
I think the other 2 guys that you threw in there are good picks to round out the top 4.
And then, so with this year, the moving it to the springtime, was there what was the big reasoning behind that? Was it just the weather the last couple of years was kind of crummy?
Yeah, Jersey weather sucks in the winter.
Okay.
It was twofold. With Worlds being in New Jersey in October, having 2 events in New Jersey back to back, we felt like was going to hurt attendance.
Okay.
And then obviously snow the last 2 years, or 2 of the last 3 years, whatever, has been a concern. And people have had issues with flights, and people have had, a couple people who are like, "Oh, we're driving in, but now there's a foot of snow where we are up in upstate New York or whatever, so we're not coming." And we ended up having to give extra people buys and things like that. So
for
Worf's offered to flip-flop.
And yeah, I mean, the Seattle one worked well in January, and I just wonder, by this time, almost a week away from the deadline or whatever, like we're usually a little closer to being full than we are this year. Do you think it has anything to do with that, or is it just sort of a combination of a busy weekend up at Rutgers and the hotels being an issue, or anything like that? I'm not trying to like rain on the MPC parade, but just sort of, discussing like the changes and maybe what's going on with it.
I think it's a perfect storm of a number of those things. A couple of top players not being able to get time off or being committed to other things because last weekend in April is kind of like wedding season starting for people and things, or you're getting ready to wrap up your school year and you can't really take time off, or you just got back from spring break, for those who still teach and do those things, or in Tom Hade's case, there's a gaming con where he has to cosplay at or something that he already bought tickets for.
Right.
So it's just a number of other things.
I think we always see like a last minute rush too. So
Sure.
I expect that the night of and probably like a couple minutes after midnight, some people will be begging Chris to
Reopen
add
that
them to the
shit.
list. Yeah, I feel like that happens every year.
And that was
But yeah, I'm with you. I feel like we're a little behind pace, and it'd be nice to see a couple people jump on. Hopefully when we load a certain video up to
that was part of the reasoning, right? To get the hype, the hype video.
Convince a few people who are on the fence.
Right.
48 would be my number now that I'd be happy with, because then
Right.
52 would be great. The top 3 get buys, but at least at 48, like the top 4 get buys, and you're even. And you're not like not just having. Okay, well, everybody doesn't have to show up in the morning. Just the 9 guys or 10 guys who are playing play-in games.
Right.
And then everybody else can show up 2.5 hours later.
And you can have a pretty competitive bracket if it's just the top 4 people getting buys. Like then some of those lower matchups will be a lot more competitive than just like 2 versus 15s and 1 versus 16s that you kind of know are going to go one way or the other. Although I think we had a 1 versus 16 before the NCAA did, right? At the MPC. I thought we had. I thought someone last year or 2 years ago lost as a 1 seed. Maybe I'm wrong.
We never had anyone lose as a 1. We had Justin No Show as a 1 seed.
Oh, maybe.
Year.
Okay, was that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, but I do feel like we might have had a 2 lose in the first round.
Yeah.
I know Baroni almost lost 1 year to Matt Schmaltz's first year playing. We had never seen Matt Schmaltz before. Didn't know a damn thing about him. We seeded him low. He's playing Baroni. And he's sitting down. He's like, "So have you been playing Star Wars long?" And he's like, "No, just a couple months. But I was a Pro Tour Magic player, so I'm just picking up the." He's like, "You're a fucking Pro Tour Magic guy? Jesus Christ! I'm playing you in the first round."
Yeah, I think
I think he split games and barely won that. I think he won that match by like 2.
Wow.
I think our two biggest missed seeds in MPC history were Schmaltz. Probably could have given him a little more love for his competitive gaming background. And then Baroni himself, the first year Baroni played in Bluebell, I think we had him.
He was an 8 seed or something.
Yeah, like 27 or 29 or 26 overall, something like that.
Yeah.
And he made us.
Dan Kim was pretty low too. The first year.
Dan Kim was low and probably a little bit too low, but I think he was still completely unknown to everybody at that point.
Yeah, because he kind of just was there for like 1 year and then he was gone. He was
everybody, and then
he was a 12 seed. Yeah, he was a 12 seed. I think went all the way to the final 4 of the MPC, then won Worlds, and was like, "All right, I'm done."
Yeah.
If I may argue, I think our worst seed was Matt Harrison Trainer as a 14 seed back in 2011.
But did anybody know anything about him, though? Like, he was probably just some random Canadian schmoop at that time.
I will admit, but, like, I remember him coming within 2 or 3 cards of beating Brian Fred and just would have tilted the hell out of Brian Fred, which we all would have loved. But he ended up
Brian Fred on still
tournament that year and then went on this crazy run.
Actually, now that you guys mentioned Brian Fred, we have a Brian Fred-related user question.
Oh boy!
It's from.
The answer is 2 toes. That's how many toes Brian Fred loses at each major event from all the sugar he eats. It's 2.
It's from Tom Kelly. He says, "Are you guys purposely going to give Brian Fred a lower seed just for the reaction?"
Well, we are now.
It's always a consideration.
Always a consideration.
We always think like, all right, who can we seed that's just going to piss somebody off and really make for some good media? No, we don't do that. We try and be as fair as possible. The only people we ever actually end up really screwing over most of the time are ourselves.
Yeah.
I
Touche.
do low-key try to start rivalries. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not, but when I submit, like, I'm kind of like the consultant now because I'm not up in New Jersey, but I'll submit a bracket, and I'll make sure that, you know, somebody playing in the second round is playing somebody they played the year before, just so you can start that rivalry.
That's a good idea though too, and plus like that probably helps with the teammate issues. Like you're not scrambling the brackets to put teammates against each other, so you could end up building some of those rivalries in the second round.
I don't think we're there yet, but
Have you seen any of? I was going to ask, have you seen any like good rivalries between players that have gone? I know like Jan and Justin Desai played each other like 2 years in a row at the NPC, and it was like 1-4 matchups, I think. And Jan lost both times, and it was like, oh man, I really want him to come back and do it again the next year, but you know, maybe just didn't line up. And so that's definitely one that I noticed, but that was just more of a teammate of myself. So
Occasionally we'll give somebody a rematch, but like we're not going to like 3, 4, 5 years in a row playing the same person.
And
We try not to, at least. I mean, I think Baronizo's played that. He's played Barry like 4 times or something like that.
That's
I think
okay.
Barry's actually beaten him once or twice.
yeah.
So
So you should be able to beat Barry. Even I've beaten Barry.
Barry, the keeper of the trophies.
Yeah, he has all of
Is
Tom
Barry
Kelly's
registered yet?
trophies. I think he's on the list. I'm pretty sure I saw
Barry's
him
on the
there.
list.
Better be.
Barry signed up. He is on
Better
the
be on
list.
that list.
Yeah, he's good, folks. So yeah, I think that was actually all the user questions that I had kind of got answered while we were just doing our normal stuff. Basically, we had one from Dorsch about specific play groups and their requests not to face each other early, and I guess maybe this is one that you might know, Taco Bill. Do you know offhand like the biggest drop or bump in a seed that you've given to someone in order to associate them with a better teammate situation? That's probably a little specific, but
that's tough
No,
because, like,
I mean, that's a pretty easy one. Just from our standpoint, the most you would drop is like one level. So
you guys never push
you know,
anybody
four-
further than one.
four seeds of the overall seeding would be your biggest drop.
Okay.
Somebody might be, a 7 who would fall to an 8, but even then, it's usually we have the flexibility to swap 2 people at the same seed level, and we can justify that.
yeah, I think that like
It gets a little messy when you swap one guy, who then turns into another teammate matchup for somebody else. You gotta
Right.
switch something over here also.
So, but it's
Yeah,
yeah.
people.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think my approach is we try to stick to pretty close to an overall 1 to 64, and so when you're moving somebody around, they're really only dropping like 1 or 2 spots on that list of 64.
Okay. That's
It's a bit like a Rubik's Cube where you start turning one color and then the other colors don't line up anymore and you just, start over.
That's fair. So yeah, we kind of discussed that. So yeah, I think that was pretty much all I had for you guys. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about this year's NPC? About anything we have going on? This will be edited. if it
2
doesn't work.
things: sign up, get registered, and submit us your rankings.
Okay, so sign up. You can do that in the store, the Star Wars CCG Players Committee store. It is $50 for the whole weekend. Google it.
50 for the whole weekend now, 40 for just the main event. There was a discount, but you waited too long and you missed out on the discount, as well as the sweet AI foil that I'll just throw up here again in case people want to see that. Sorry, wrong box.
This is great television.
So there's the other foil, the Kylo Ren with lightsaber.
That is a
AI.
nice foil. Kylo Ren with
That was the
stick.
pre-reg foil. So the people who pre-registered by the deadline of mid-February will all guaranteed to get that, and then everyone who signed up after that, depending on their order, will get whatever extras I have to give out.
Okay. So there's some
And I'll-
competition. First
If
come,
some-
first served.
Yeah.
the next person to
It doesn't
PM
matter.
sign up that has never been to an NPC, I will pay your entry fee.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I'm going to post this. We're recording this on Tuesday. I'm going to post this tomorrow. So it is imperative that you guys sign up, because if you've never been to an NPC before, Mr. Bill Kafer, the gentleman that he is, will front your membership or your entry fee. So that's pretty sweet.
Awesome
And
job, Bill.
Oh,
Awful.
and I'll just say, for anybody on the fence, the MPC, at least for me, is like one of the top tier, most fun events of the year. I look forward to it every year.
Mhm.
It's going to be even better now that we're in some warmer weather. But just like the logistics of traveling to New Brunswick are pretty easy for everybody coming in. It's a great area, just walkable to all the different bars and restaurants that you want. It's a little college town if you've never been there before and you're unfamiliar with it. And just the hotel is nice too. And it's an awesome, awesome weekend. Come nerd out with your friends and
make some new friends.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah, and then for one thing we didn't kind of mention, we should probably drop this in here at the end. For those who are on the fence about joining, maybe you think being ranked 1 to 64, you'll be ranked on the lower end. If you lose in the first round, you get to play in the consolation bracket. I myself got to make a top 4 at a consolation bracket. It was a lot of fun at my last MPC. So, even if you lose in the first round to someone who's, a lot better than you, you're still going to get to play a lot more games of Star Wars in that match play format. So at least 2 more, and then you could end up advancing in that consolation bracket, which has cash prizes, trophies, etc. as well. So
there will be no shortage of competitive Star Wars for you to play, whether you go far in the main event or not.
Yeah. So wanted to make sure that those guys, if you knew that there was a consolation bracket, so it wasn't just paying $40 or $50 for 2 games of Star Wars and you're done. Because that's kind of when I first got back into playing. When I heard about the MPC, I was a little worried as myself, being a lower seeded guy. I was like, oh, I'm going to play 2 games, and then what am I going to do? Watch people all day? So there's other games that'll be probably.
I'm sorry, Jerry. I didn't mean to beat you that quickly.
I think you were my second or third one. My first one was to Tom Kelly's brother. I lost to him, and then I think I lost to Barry one year. And then I lost to Gogolin the other time. I've been to 3 MPCs, maybe 4. I don't know.
So we have to play again. Is that what you want the rivalry? You want to play again?
We could play again. How about just in like the top 8 or the Elite 8 or something?
I'll take it.
All right, guys. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for making time for your schedules to be here all together. I think it's a lot of fun that we got to do this, all 4 of us. So yeah, I'll get this posted, sort of as a big video tomorrow, and everybody will enjoy it, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
All right, see you guys.